Hi, I'm Renarta Clanton Moyd. I'm a communications specialist with the Cumberland County Schools and your host of Get Connected. During this monthly show, we highlight numerous educational topics that face today's student, educator, and parent in the Cumberland County Schools. Now, in the past, we've talked with representatives from the PTA about the efforts being made to support our schools. But many people may not realize that a special education PTA, often called SEPTA, is alive and well in Cumberland County. Volunteers in SEPTA work to provide a network, support, and voice for families and teachers of children with special needs. Now, after this break, we'll talk with two representatives from the Cumberland County SEPTA about their organization during this edition of Get Connected.
The odds of a child being in a fatal automobile accident are 1 in 23,000. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 166. The odds say it's time to listen. To learn the signs of autism, visit autismspeaks.org.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.
Again, thanks for joining us for this edition of Get Connected, where we're talking with the Cumberland County Special Education PTA Chairperson, Mrs. Julie Rufenacht, and the organization's webmaster, Mrs. Barbara Till. Julie, Barbara, welcome.
Thank you, Renata. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you guys are here.
Oh, I'm pleased to be here. Thank you.
All right. Well, you know what? First of all, let's start off by talking about what SEPTA is. What is SEPTA?
Well, SEPTA is a special education PTA committee, actually, of the Cumberland County District PTA. We're not a separate entity. We fall underneath the District PTA, and we are here to help families of Cumberland County school students who have children with special needs.
Okay. All right. And I know that in the past, as I've watched you all work, you do a lot of advocacy.
We are advocates on a lower level. There are true advocates.
Yeah, in terms of teaching people to become.
Yes, but what we try to do is help facilitate a relationship, a more positive relationship between parents and families of children with special needs and the school system.
Okay. Now, how did SEPTA come about?
Well, SEPTA was a little long in coming. We originally were a group. Well, we were not, but there was originally a group called the ECPAC, the Exceptional Children's Parent Advisory Council, and that was started by the Cumberland County school system, and the school system was very, very interested in knowing what parents were experiencing and how could they fill in the holes. And we ran into a problem. It consisted of parents of children with special needs, and it also had teachers and administration people involved. But our privacy acts in the school system prevented us from really knowing who these families were. So we couldn't reach them, and we couldn't help them, and we couldn't find out what their problems were. So one day I had heard about a SEPTA, a special education PTA, through a radio interview, and I went home and I looked it up on the National PTA website, and yes, there is this. So I took it to the ECPAC, and I said, what do you think? If we are parents, we don't have privacy issues. We can reach out and talk to other parents and get to know them and see what we can do. Right. They were very excited, so I then took it to the Cumberland County District PTA and made my presentation, and they were extremely receptive. And at that point, SEPTA was born. That was about 3 years ago now.
Wow, that's good. And you all seem to be picking up some speed, so that's a good thing.
I think we are, yeah. I think
good.
We are.
Now, my question to both of you is, why is it that, because you're both volunteers, correct?
Absolutely.
Why is it that you wanted to be a part of SEPTA? I mean, do you have special needs children or special needs in your families or homes and
Barbara?
those types of things?
Yeah, mine actually starts with my mother. My mother, after my sister and I left, took in kids with, actually they were Down syndrome children. I say children, they were as old as we were. They were like 27 years old. And so that was my really first exposure to really living a 24-hour-a-day life with children with needs. And so from that, they just capture your heart. They just do. They're just so loving. They're accepting you can't do anything wrong. So that really became both Frank and my platform is to advocate and help those kids in school districts. And so that was the venue. And then, of course, when we moved to Cumberland County, Julie is my neighbor, literally.
Okay.
And so she chatted with me about a little bit about SEPTA. And so I said, well, let me see what I can bring to it. And as it turned out, my contribution to SEPTA is that I had familiarity with how the telephone systems would work and how to get into that system, as well as the internet system, to be able to get a little more communication going between the two. So that was my contribution as a non-person with particular kids with special needs. That's how I became infiltrated into their system.
That's good. That's good. And I know your husband, Dr. Till, our superintendent, has in the past, I know he's talked about how his mother was very involved with PTA in the past.
She actually started a PTA in one of the schools in San Diego. And so to this day, Frank has books of where she gave birth to that project. And so he has a real special place in his heart for PTAs. I mean, he just really likes to see parents involved with their children, and whatever means he can get in and to get that connection, that's what Frank will do.
That's good. That's good. Now, Julie, what about you?
Well, my husband and I, Brady, have a daughter. Her name is Lacey, and she has many special needs. I was terrified when she started school.
Right.
And I have found nothing but wonderful help from the school system. But I also was hearing horror stories from people, and I was very concerned. And when I had such a good experience, and I was trying to figure out how to help share my good experience with other people, and how do I help that, I was on the ECPAC, as I said originally, and then started the SEPTA. It is very personal to me that my daughter get the best education. Every family out there who has a child with special needs worries, are their children going to get the best education possible? Right. And it's a different road, and you need extra help. And when I realized that perhaps I could help, that was where I felt a calling to be there.
That's good. So for both of you, really, it's very personal.
Absolutely.
Extremely.
And that's good to know, because when parents come to your meetings, it's always good to have that support group, be able to talk with someone else who's a caregiver.
Absolutely.
And be able to share experiences and, and say, well, I know how that feels. It's always a wonderful thing.
And there is a special way to have a positive relationship with the school system. You really need to make sure you understand the proper channels to go through, the right people to ask the questions to. And it can be very, very challenging if you don't understand that and you go to inadvertently the wrong person, and then you get frustrated and you get angry. Or if something's not working for you and you know that there are rights there for you, you need to be able to access those rights so that you can be the advocate for your child.
That's good. That's good. Were you going to say something?
Well,
Barbara?
exactly. And part of the problem is that I'm very much a person that goes by protocol. And so usually when someone will come to me, the first thing I will say is, have you talked to the teacher? Did you talk to the counselor? Did you talk to the vice principal? Did you talk to the principal? So I really try to encourage people to follow that link to get them to the places they are, because each link gives you more information of knowing what your rights are as a parent, because you have rights. And when you don't get the right answer, that's when you go to the next step to that person to find out the max of what you have available for your child. Parents can be intimidated by a school system, and so we want to break that down and let them know that that's their right. That's their child. So that's what we try to encourage as well.
Now, I know we kind of talked a little bit about the mission, but talk to me a little bit more about the mission of SEPTA.
Well, The mission of SEPTA is to reach as many families as possible of children with special needs and to facilitate a relationship, a positive relationship with the school system, to ensure that all children with special needs receive the education that they deserve, and that they have, that the families are burdened enough. Right. And they accept it and they work with it, but they need to have a way to access the school system that will work with them. And many times you don't feel that way, and we want to be there to help assure that we can help that with those families.
That's good. Now, I know when we were talking a little earlier before the show, Barbara, you mentioned to me something, and I thought, wow, that's really neat. You know, I guess from your aspect as the webmaster, the fact that a lot of times the parent or the caregiver cannot come to the meetings, but you all make it so that they are not missing out on the information.
Exactly.
They can access it. Talk to us about that.
Exactly. Yeah, when we hold these meetings, I mean, I know from my mother that she couldn't get out of the house. So we started looking at what ways can we get to these parents, that are these caretakers, and that became where the webpage was developed. And so what we do is we tape those meetings, those speakers that are giving information. The one that really spoke the most to me was we had an attorney on, and he spoke about the different kinds of trusts that you need to set up, the conservatorships. What are you going to do whenever you're not there and that child's alone? You want to make sure everything is in place. And so what we do is we have someone from the Cumberland County Schools come in, and we have her tape those sessions. And then what you can do is go on to that website, and you can access that and stay in your own home. So you don't necessarily have to attend. We'd like you to, because we want you to meet that other person, so you won't feel so isolated.
Right.
And
because that can happen too, that isolation.
Oh, yes. That isolation. And you think you're the only one and nobody else has ever done this. And the reality is there's a lot of you in the same boat. And so that's where coming to those meetings, you bridge those conversations with one another, and it's, oh yeah, that happened to me. Well, what did you do? And that's what we're trying to get, is that communication with those parents through that means. But we also have our telephone system that we alert you when the meetings are going to be there. And we alert you that if there's something special going on, we have the ability to send out calls just to those parents in the SEPTA group that allow us to have either their email addresses or the communication going through that telephone system or our web page or Gmail or whatever.
Okay. And I know later on in the show you're going to share with us some of those resources.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good. And you know what, something else I want to talk to you all about is some of the programs that you all have coming up, some of the resources and just assistances available to students or to their families.
Well, in the future, we plan on having the attorney come back, and that date has not been set, but we will alert you through our Gmail. We will also have it on our Facebook page, and it will be on our web page. We also send out the Connect Ed calls on the future meetings. Many times we just have to work with our speakers to see when the best date is available. In this particular year, we have had the ECAC, which is the Exceptional Children's Assistance Center, and the facilitator came from the Wilmington office. And she was working with parents on advocacy and the better ways to advocate for their child and get the most effective results. And that was a great program. That was in September. Yeah. And in October, we had the Got Answers. I can't remember how it was called. Got Questions, Get Answers. That's right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. And we had a great panel with that.
Okay. All right. And you know what? I know that there are more that you want to share with me, but I see that we need to take a break, okay?
Okay.
So sit tight, hold your answers, and we'll be right back, okay? All right, don't go anywhere. All right, stay tuned for more Get Connected.
Ever wonder what makes us, the Smurfs, so happy? The forest, of course! This is where we, along with the beautiful forest creatures, make our home with beautiful plant life, clean water, and endless adventures. It's a place to celebrate. So discover the forest with your family today. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Horseradish. Is that for horses? Remember me, Mr. Lobster? From last Tuesday? Banana. Banana. Banana! Here comes the rain. We need a hat. And why do we need a hat?
Say John.
That's right.
When you talk with your child, you build vocabulary, and learning starts long before school does. For more tips, go to bornlearning.org.
So what you want to do is, have you already enrolled? You're doing fine.
What did that just do?
Select the drop-down menu again. Wait. Site, you're already enrolled. Example here, so don't panic. You're ready to make your payment. Submit. There it is.
Oh my God! I really can't believe it.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Can you consent with me? Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child. So let's join hands, book people unite. Unearth hidden passion. Come on, we'll have a good time. One book could be the first that helps to change a life. People unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Get Connected. Our guests are the Special Education PTA Chairperson, Julie Rufenacht, and the organization's webmaster, Barbara Till. Now, you know what? Before we went to the break, Julie, you were talking to us about some of the programs.
Yes.
And let me get this one, got questions, get answers.
Yes, yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Great program. We were fortunate enough to have the Bobby Grammer, who is with the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. So we had someone from Raleigh representing the state. We also had Ruben Reyes, head of the Exceptional Children's Center, and several other Exceptional Children's Center administrators, therapists, teachers, behavioral specialists, the person who works with the 504s. And what we have encouraged parents to do at every meeting, and then we decided to bring it to the forefront, is bring us your questions. Tell us what's on your mind. Ask the people who are in charge right up front. If you are not getting what you feel like you deserve, ask them why. Explain your situation. We did it in a town hall format where it wasn't interactive so that everyone would have an opportunity to ask their question. But once your question was asked, the proper person would address that question and explain their answer. We were also balanced by having a parent advocate on the board, on the panel, excuse me. And that parent advocate would listen to the answer, and if she felt that there needed to be some interjection of parent rights, she would speak up to that.
That's great.
Yes.
I mean, those are programs that, you know, you just really need. You need to feel as though you can go somewhere and get your questions answered and
you need to be heard.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And when it comes to your child, I guess as a mother now, you know, you just, there's
not enough you can do.
It's just not enough. It's not enough. And when they're not in your sight, you're wondering at all times if they're okay, if whomever's, you know, with them is treating them properly, giving them what they need. So
exactly.
This is just wonderful.
Yeah. Plus many children, now not all children, but many children have an IEP, an individualized education plan. And that IEP is required for every teacher and every resource person in the school system is required to follow that IEP. And many times you wonder if that's being followed, or is it being followed properly. And parents need to have the ability to question that IEP. They need to have the ability to participate in that IEP and to be heard.
Exactly.
And by doing this, we are assuring that that parent, that family member, that caretaker is involved and giving them their insight in the best way. Plus, we're assuring that the school system is assuring that this is being followed. And there are times, unfortunately, when it's not, but we hope if that's the case, if a parent doesn't know where to go or isn't getting answers, they can at least come to us and we will facilitate. We don't have the answers in SEPTA, We aren't an identity, an advocacy, as you said earlier. We advocate by facilitating parents to get them into the right direction.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're literally the bridge, is what we really consider ourselves. So you have a need, we may know where a resource is, and our job is to mesh you.
Yes.
And in reference to the IEPs, another part that you want to deal with is that if you may have gone into a session and had that developed for you, but you may also find that that's not working for your child in the classroom. Now what do you do? What are the steps that you take? And that's where our groups comes in and tries to help walk you through that process.
But we also do that by having programs where real experts, I mean, we're our own little private experts, but we have real experts come to our programs on many occasions and discuss advocacy and the proper channels and having a positive relationship.
And that's important to have, you know, a group, like I said, there that can teach you how to become a good advocate.
Well, it is a learning process.
Yeah,
It is.
It is. Because, I mean, even your approach and how you, it can be simple things as far as your approach.
Absolutely.
Where, you know, you're don't come to the person questioning like, you know, as opposed to coming with knowledge, feeling empowered, sharing information.
Yeah,
you know,
approach, follow through,
And in addition to that,
notes.
you have the parent that maybe this is the first time they're putting their child into the school.
Right.
So when you place them in a room with a parent that has a child that's now been in the system for 6 or 7 years, they can talk to that new parent coming into the educational process and guide them through some of the steps that were the pitfalls for them, and then they can say, okay, now this is what I did, here's some alternatives. And so that's the big thing about having them come. Although our meeting starts usually at 6:15, we have the doors open at 6, and we ask the parents, if you can come at 6 to that, those that can, talk about that, and then in that merge your conversations and learn from one another, connect with one another, to be able to call in those crisis moments.
That's good. Now, when you mention meetings, what comes to my mind is who can be a member and how do you become a member?
One of the things that was very important when SEPTA was started was not to isolate anyone and not to make it more difficult. You have enough on your plate with children. When you have a child with different needs, that just adds to that plate. Financially, there are no requirements. You do not have to become a member. It is open to everyone. It is open to teachers. It is open to caregivers. It is open to community partners who offer assistance to families with special needs. And of course, it's open to the families. All the programs, we try and get it out to everywhere we know. One of the areas that we're working to develop is how do we communicate with families who think they may need this service and are having trouble in the school system getting testing or getting assessments, and they're lost. And we have a little bit of a problem reaching that group, and so we hope by doing this and several other things that we can reach those families. Many times the families who are already identified know where to go or are looking where to go. Families who are not yet identified need that assistance too.
Now let me ask you this, what can the schools or administration do to help SEPTA along with their mission or your mission?
Well, the biggest thing that they can do is be the news carrier within their positions. So if you're at a school site, if you can help by telling people, one, that it even exists, two, putting up our flyers because we do flyers for the meetings that we're going to have to get that word out. Just being open and communicating with one another and getting that information out to that section of parents that would be welcome to come into that group of SEPTA and utilize that process.
As well as encourage your teachers.
Yeah.
Encourage your case managers. Encourage your resource people to come to the meetings because they can learn too.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's absolutely right. They can learn, and sometimes what they're doing isn't being seen by the parent. What they're trying to transmit to the parent to be able to process their child through the system, the parent's not getting. So they can also bring to the table their side of it as what can a parent do or say that triggers them to get them to the right answer, rather than having that complex question. You can break it down to that point.
Now, where are your meetings normally held and how often do they take place?
We have had as few as 3 when we first started, and typically we're having right now 4 to 5 programs a year. We have been fortunate that Max Abbott has allowed us to meet there. It's a centrally located school. I hope that we will continue, but each flyer is very clearly marked where the program will be. Max Abbott is off of Rayford Road behind the Harris Teeter. The other part of this is that we are
and let me ask you this, and I hate to interrupt you.
Oh, that's okay.
To interrupt your thought. But with the meetings, they're normally how long? How long are you?
2 hours.
2 hours. Okay.
Yeah, 2 hours.
And you're finding that it's picking up attendance, but you really do need more people to come out and be a part, correct?
Right, because the more people that are going to attend, the more the word is going to get spread into the system, and then the more people will have a better idea of what we do and we are trying to do to help them. So as long as we can get that part of the message going out there, then I think our idea of SEPTA will grow, and we'll be able to add more things to it. But we need the parents to talk to us and tell us, what is it that you need
from us?
From us.
Yeah.
What do you need? Because we're here, but we need to hear from you. So at the moment we've had several speakers, but there's other questions that these parents have, I'm sure. So we need to know what those questions are so that we can then go out into the community and find someone that can answer those, and then bring them to the meeting, tape them, and then be able to spread that word either through the web page or being able to attend that meeting.
We've also had meetings that are nothing but socials. We have met at Monkey Joe's on several occasions, and we encourage those families to come and bring their children. There's a lot of assistance there for those who have physical issues, and it's been a great networking. That is when parents really do sit around and talk to each other and recognize each other from schools. Many times we don't know who the other families are, and they could be in the same classroom.
Okay. And you know what? I'm looking at our time. I see that it's ticking down, but I do want to find out about the website, because that is a very important resource.
It is. It is. You can actually reach it if you go to Cumberland County Schools. The web address actually is ccs.k12.nc.us. And then when you get on there, go to the PTA. Actually, parents is the first section you would go to, and then PTA. And if you click on PTA, it'll say special education at the moment. Click on that, and then our web page pops up. And then under that, you're going to find handbooks that we've downloaded, because we also work with the military, so they have handbooks and things that are available. We have the National PTA for resources. We have the presentations. Whatever you may need, there's a good chance you're going to find it there.
That's good. And so there are various ways to communicate with SEPTA.
Yeah, Absolutely. We also have a Facebook page. We'd love for people to like us. And we have a Gmail address for specific questions.
That's good. That is great. I have enjoyed this.
Thank you. We have to.
Yeah, you have to come back, okay?
Would love to.
All right. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to hold you to that.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay. Well, thank you all so very much. And on behalf of the Cumberland County School System, we want to thank you for tuning in to this edition of our show and for giving us a chance to help you get connected. Until next time.